I know a lot of people are very concerned this morning. A lot of people receiving letters from schools telling them that testing on their children will be mandatory. I've seen a lot of letters that say if you don't have the testing for your child, if your child doesn't have COVID testing, they don't get to come onto the school premises. I've also seen other letters being sent out from schools saying that attendance at schools is now compulsory again, and that any parent withholding or withdrawing their child will face the system of fines. So I feel that parents are trapped in this kind of coercion by the government and the school system that says you must test your child, otherwise they don't get to come to school. But if you keep your child home and they don't come to school, you're going to get fined. Now, the legal line in the UK is that vaccines aren't mandatory, but I feel like those steps are coming closer and closer, aren't they? Because how come if vaccines aren't mandatory, testing seems like it's mandatory? When you look at the actual government website and government information, it clearly says tests aren't compulsory. However, staff and students who experience symptoms must continue to follow government guidance of normal. Well, of course, if your child's poorly, you're not going to send it to school. And later in this government guidance, all schools and colleges should offer regular twice weekly testing to their staff. Testing is not mandatory for staff, and they do not need to provide proof of a negative test result to attend school or college in person, although participation in testing is strongly encouraged. Now, there seems to be a big gap, doesn't there, between the words strongly encourage and letters home to parents saying if your child doesn't have a test, they don't get to come to school. There's other guidance on another government site that says this guidance does not create any new legal obligations. So it suggests that it is not legal for schools to be enforcing testing. It suggests that testing is actually a choice, but schools are trying to infer it's mandatory. It's worth you trying to opt out if this is something that you and your child want. I know that older children feel like they just want to fit in. They don't want to stand out. 14, 15, 16-year-olds would rather just get tested because what's the big deal? But certainly from my personal perspective, why do I want medicine and medical interference in my children? I don't want it. I don't want them to grow up thinking they need some kind of medical intervention before the rough and tumble of life. I don't actually want my children wearing masks in school either. And I don't like this idea that we're being coerced into something and that it isn't clear. If it's not legal and it's not mandatory, why are headmasters and headmistresses intimidating parents into saying yes? I'm putting stuff up on my Instagram feed to help people with templates to write to their school if you don't want to choose this for your child. And I do really wonder about freedom of choice in the UK. Freedom of choice in the UK, it seems, is have the vaccine, have testing, or you don't get to come to school or a pub or go on holiday or anything. Is that really freedom of choice, or is that just coercion by another name?
We will make America great again.